Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. What I have behind me is a C5 Corvette Z06, but this isn't just any C5 Z06. This car was extensively modified by two of the largest shops in the entire country. And in today's video, we're going to see exactly what was done to the C5, but more importantly, what this person got for $60,000 at a speed shop. Now, naturally, we're going to get some sound clips, some drive-by footage, and most importantly for me, some driving impressions. We're also going to take a look at this car's amazing performance numbers and track times. And as an added bonus, this car recently sold, so we're going to see exactly what modifications like this do for resale value. And a little spoiler alert, it's not good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Holy shit. And there you have it. This is a 2001 C5 Z06. And for those of you who aren't familiar, 2001 was the first year for the Z06. This was the first ultra high performance Corvette we had seen since the 90s gave us the ZR1. The 2001 C5 Z06 came with 385 horsepower and 385 pound-feet of torque, all coming from a 5.7 liter LS6 V8. That was good enough to propel this 3,100 pound car to 0 to 60 in 4 seconds in a mid to low 12-second quarter mile. Of course, depending on how good of a driver you were, as the only transmission option for this car was a 6-speed manual. The fault with the 2001 Z06 and buying the first model year of this car had really nothing to do with the car, rather what GM decided to do just 1 year later. For the 2002 Z06, the car was heavily upgraded. Most notably for those 2002 upgrades was a bump to 405 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. This came from a larger camshaft, lighter exhaust and intake valves, better springs, and freer flowing intake and exhaust. Other noteworthy upgrades for 2002 was a stronger clutch, bigger front sway bar, better valving for the rear shocks, slightly better front brakes, and now heads-up display came standard, whereas in 2001, it wasn't even available. Now, to be clear, upgrades like this are not uncommon, especially for performance cars, but these are traditionally reserved for a mid-year model refresh about 2-3 years into the production run. Doing this so quickly was a little bit odd, and it definitely hurt resale value of the 2001. And that's where this car comes in. The original owner of this car only had it for 10 months, and he sold it at the end of 2001. This likely allowed the second owner of this car, who had all the modifications performed, to receive a pretty hefty discount. And he put that discount to very good use, almost immediately sending this car out to Lingenfelter Performance. But he didn't just send the car. The car came with a check for a whopping $27,665. Now, to better understand what almost $28,000 gets you at Lingenfelter Performance, we're bringing the Z06 back to my garage to lift it up in the air. But don't worry, we're going to get to the big elephant in the room, which is this car has an automatic. Welcome back to my garage, or as I like to say, my second home. This car has a Stage 1 Lingenfelter twin turbo kit, and it accounted for $20,000 of this guy's bill. So let's get it up in the air and see what you get for 20 grand. Okay, under the car is where all the magic happens. This is one of the water-cooled ball bearing Garrett turbochargers, and then you see its downpipe. And if we go over to the driver's side, here is the other one. These are tucked up very nicely. They don't affect the ground clearance of the car at all. And if you follow these downpipes, they connect to the rest of the exhaust like so. Because these turbos are mounted so low, this does require a scavenger pump. The oil return is not able to feed back with gravity back into the crankcase, so you need an actual pump to do that. Also, for that $20,000, you do get dual air-to-air intercoolers. Now, if you follow this piping, if you can kind of see through there, that's one of them. And then as we go back to the passenger side and you see this ducting, you can see the other one right there through that little grill. Now, if that kind of power isn't enough, keep in mind that these turbos were put on in 2002. Since then, there's been a ton of advancement in turbo technology, so there's a very good chance you can take these off and have them upgraded for even more power. Looking under the hood, you really can't see much of what Lingenfelter did. They do have their air intake that's labeled. Down here are custom exhaust manifolds to feed those two turbos. It's hard to see from the driver's side, but from this angle, we can see one of the custom exhaust manifolds by Lingenfelter. Not that you can tell by popping the hood, but Lingenfelter also installed a forged 346 engine in this car. It has ported CNC cylinder heads and a GT2 turbo cam. This was about $5,250 of the bill, and this complete package claims to produce 550 horsepower and 550 pound-feet of torque. Now, you'd think after spending over $27,000 on your car and adding a ton of horsepower that you would just go out and drive the hell out of it. But apparently that wasn't the case, as this owner only accumulated 4,000 miles over the next 12 years. In 2014, this Z06's next stop was in Georgia at Vengeance Racing, where he accumulated an even larger bill at almost $32,000. The bulk of that $32,000 that was spent at Vengeance Racing was on the elephant in the room, that automatic transmission that I showed you a little bit earlier. That accounted for $16,515 of the total bill. Yeah, little crazy. Now, you had seen the inside of the interior. It looks totally factory. They did a fantastic job in there, as the C5 obviously did come with an automatic, so they swapped all those interior parts over. To see the rest of it, we have to go back up in the air. Back here basically just looks like a C5 automatic, except as you can tell, this is a built transmission. It's an RPM level 10. It has a Precision Industries torque converter. And then they also, while they were in here, they upgraded the differential. This is a level 4 by RPM, 342 gears, better axles. You can see some QA1 shocks that they installed, and then a polyurethane bushing kit. And then back here we can also see the mufflers, and I believe this was done at Lingenfelter. Aside from the really expensive automatic transmission swap, Vengeance did a bunch of other work. There was another $16,000 remaining out of the total $32,000, and that went primarily to upping the horsepower of this car and also some maintenance items. All this Lingenfelter twin turbo kit with the forged engine needed was more fuel, methanol injection by alky control, and a little bit more boost. They added a 3-bar map sensor and upped the boost pressure to 13 psi. Now get this, that was good for 640 wheel horsepower and 644 pound-feet of torque. Now to complete the setup, Vengeance installed these really nice Mickey Thompson drag radials on the factory 18-inch Corvette wheels. This setup ran a 1040 at 135 miles an hour with a very easy 1.6 60-foot. With a little bit more power and maybe a looser stall converter, this car definitely has 9s written all over it. If you're wondering what modifications like this do to resale value, it is not good. This car sold for $30,000 recently, and if you look on AutoTrader or anywhere online, a stock 9,000 mile C5 Z06 is in the upper 20s. So all these modifications, all $60,000, didn't increase the value at all. Now, if you're building a car, resale value is probably the last thing you ever want to think about, because if anything, it devaluates the car. This could be a huge opportunity if you're looking to buy a car and then eventually modify it. You could potentially buy one that has everything done to it that you want it to do, and you'll save yourself a boatload of cash. Your best bet is to find one just like this C5 Z06 that has a binder full of receipts. Start off with driving impressions. I have to tell everyone that this car drives basically like a stock automatic C5 Corvette. I don't know exactly what stall converter this car has, but the stall speed cannot be very high because this is very tight. Honestly, it's a little bit refreshing compared to the 3600 and 4000 stall converter I've had in my Trans Am. Jesus Christ, this car hooks up. These Mickey Thompsons work very well, and like a lot of twin turbo cars, the power is just so smooth. This is nothing like my Trans Am that has a bigger single turbo. The power kicks in so quickly on that car, it just immediately blows the tires off, even with a drag radial. These 305 18-inch Mickey Thompsons really do their job. Going about 60 miles an hour on the highway, and I'm just gonna lay into it. Wow, this thing is nuts. That was like 110 miles an hour very, very quickly, and I have to say, the twin turbos are fantastic. The power is just so smooth, and the Trans shifts really well at wide open throttle. The shifts are very quick, very crisp. All right, I'm gonna slow down quite a bit here. We're at like 40, punching it. Okay, that was like 40 to 120 on that run. And let me tell you, horsepower cures everything. I do not miss the manual transmission one bit. As you can tell, the downshift is a little slow initially, and that's important. But I suspect with a little bit more practice driving it, and possibly just obviously shifting it into a lower gear, would probably cure that. I'm gonna try building up some boost here at about 50, and we'll hit it. It shifts right at like 6,500 RPM and just absolutely perfect. You can probably hear it. This car is not that loud. I know I have the windows up right now, but I mean, it sounds just like a stock C5. I mean, it's almost like it doesn't even have anything done to it at all, except when you mash on it, it's ridiculously fast because it has like twice the power this car came with. I mean, did I mention this car is 3,100 pounds? This car, like I said, is at about 13 pounds of boost, and you could probably go a lot higher than that with some more fuel. So this thing is just begging for some more modifications, but really, I mean, the way it sits right now, it is an absolute blast to drive. There you have it, a car that was bought and definitely not built. Now, this isn't for everybody, and some of you may frown upon a car that's built this way, but look at it like this. Imagine you're a doctor or a business owner or anyone who has a lot more money on their hands than time. If you're also a car enthusiast, what are you to do? Doing a car like this may be your only option. To anyone out there in that situation, I say good for you. I can only hope to one day be in a situation where I could either choose to send a car out to be built or build it myself. Now, I'd likely still build as many cars as humanly possible, but it'd be really nice to know I had the choice. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new and checking in for the first time, please consider subscribing. This is a car channel. I do videos like the one you just saw, racing, builds, DIYs, dyno videos, reviews, you name it, it's all right here. I'd also like to say thank you very much to all my subscribers. I really appreciate all the support. Now, as always, I'm gonna link an article down below, altdriver.com. It's gonna go a little bit more in depth about this twin turbo C5. And also, I'm gonna list a few tips on what to look out for when you're buying a modified car. With all that being said, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.